Prince William just did what his father spent decades too scared to do. He went straight for Camilla's family. He threw them all out without a single conversation. Then something insane happened. Dark and deeply personal secrets about Camilla and her ex-husband crawled into the open. People inside the palace say William is not furious as a result. He is completely done with Camilla's family. Camilla saw the look on his face, and she knew trouble was heading her way. So she made a move that nobody saw coming, and it shocked the entire palace to its core. The woman who got paid to help destroy Diana. When William inherited the Duchy of Cornwall in September 2022, he did not just inherit land and money. He inherited a list of names, and the names on that list had Camilla trembling from head to toe. The duchy is one of the most powerful private estates in Britain. Over $1 billion, properties stretching across Cornwall, Wales, and the Isles of Scilly. And buried inside all of that land and all of that money is a payroll, full of names that had been sitting there undisturbed for years, feeding, collecting, protected by Charles. But the moment Charles became king, the Duchy of Cornwall passed to William according to the legal structure, and William was ready to punish every single one of them. He went through every single name on that list, and when he found the one he was looking for, his face went completely still. It was Annabelle Elliot, Camilla's younger sister, sitting right there on his estate like she had every right in the world to be there. William looked up from that document, and he said 5 words: "I will deal with her." To the outside world, Annabelle looked untouchable. In 2014, a major British newspaper ranked her among the 5 most influential female interior designers in the entire country. She appeared in official royal documentaries like she had been born into royalty. Far from it. William knew exactly how she snuck in, and it disgusted him. Annabelle landed the duchy contract directly after Charles married Camilla in 2005, managing interior design across duchy properties in Cornwall, Wales, and the Isles of Scilly. And William knew exactly what she had done to earn it. She had sheltered Charles and Camilla affair for years, opened her home to it, made it easier for 2 people to keep burning through Diana's life while Diana was drowning in private. And when Diana was in the ground and Camilla had Charles's ring on her finger, Annabelle walked straight into that contract and collected huge sums from it steadily for close to 2 decades. Someone had buried it and made sure it stayed buried. But the money was never what made William's jaw tighten. It was never about the money. It was about what Annabelle did to his mother. One night, during those years, Charles arrived at Annabelle's door burning with rage. Something Diana had said had set him off, and he had carried every bit of that fire straight through the front door with him. He was snapping at everyone, so Annabelle moved. She grabbed her sister by both shoulders. She looked her dead in the face, and she said, "Diana doesn't even come close to you. Go calm him." Then she pushed Camilla toward the bedroom door and pulled it shut behind her. Her house, her bedroom, her hands doing the pushing. This was not a woman who tolerated something uncomfortable happening nearby. This was a woman who looked directly at what was being done to a young mother in the middle of falling apart and decided it was worth every bit of the damage. And even after Diana died, Annabelle never stopped defending the relationship that had helped kill her. In 2023, she sat in front of a BBC camera for a documentary celebrating Charles and Camilla's coronation. She looked straight into the lens with a warm smile and said about Camilla, "She is his rock, and I cannot emphasize that enough. She is somebody who is completely loyal, completely loyal." The woman who pushed her sister into a bedroom to go calm another woman's husband, while that woman was home pressing sharp things against her own skin just to feel something other than the pain of being betrayed, sat on national television and called it loyalty. She said it with a straight face. William never forgot that, and as soon as he had the Duchy of Cornwall, he let her pay for every horrible thing she had done. He cut her off. He fired her. The official statement was that William was keeping the monarchy lean, but everyone knew it was payback time. But to truly feel why William could do this without flinching, you have to go back to a small boy locked inside a life he had no way out of, watching something terrible happen to the person he loved most in the world, Diana. the wound that never healed. William was 11 years old the morning the lie cracked open, and everything his father had told him spilled out onto the front page of every newspaper in Britain. 1993. The press published the full transcript of a secretly recorded phone call between Charles and Camilla. The call was from 1989. Both of them were still married to other people when they made it. In that call, Charles told Camilla he wanted to live inside her trousers. She laughed and asked if he would come back as a pair of knickers. He said he would be lucky to come back as a tampon. The country named it Tampon Gate and passed it around like a joke, like something to laugh about over breakfast. And somewhere in Britain, William sat with those same newspapers in his hands and read every word. What that call did was dig out every memory he had forcefully buried. He remembered every time he had found his mother sitting alone crying, and she had turned her face away so he would not see it. Every time she had looked through him at the dinner table like she was somewhere far away and could not find her way back. And since then, he had been aching for revenge. Most people remember the tampon joke and nothing else. What gets lost is what else was buried in that call. Charles and Camilla spent most of that call making plans, picking whose house to use for their next meeting. Annabelle's house was on that list. And the affair that call exposed had been running since at least 1980, before Diana even ever walked down that aisle. Which brings us to the darkest, ugliest thing in this entire story. Camilla's own former brother-in-law, Richard Parker Bowles, revealed something that is genuinely hard to sit with. He said Camilla had encouraged Charles to pursue Diana because she looked at Diana and saw someone she could use, someone she was sure would tolerate her cheating on her husband. His exact words were that Camilla believed Diana was naive and gormless. Camilla chose the woman whose life she was about to destroy. William is that woman's son. He grew up in that house. He watched from the inside every single day what that choice cost his mother. From the moment Diana moved into Clarence's house, Camilla was already working. A letter arrived on Diana's bed almost immediately, from Camilla. It said, "Such exciting news. Do let's have lunch soon." Diana described that lunch later in secret recordings as very tricky indeed. During it, Camilla asked whether Diana planned to hunt at Highgrove. It sounds like innocent small talk. It was not. Highgrove was Charles's private home. Hunting there had always been Camilla's territory, her time with him, her private access to his world. By asking that question, Camilla was really saying one thing. Are you planning to take what is mine? It was a warning, wrapped in a smile, delivered over lunch. What followed across the years after that was the slow total destruction of Diana. Her eating disorders as a result of depression became so severe her body was eating itself alive from the inside. She pressed sharp things against her skin and drew blood because the pain on the outside was the only thing that could reach the pain on the inside. She was told over and over by the palace that she was unstable, irrational, too emotional to be helped or believed or taken seriously, and it killed her. All of it together eventually killed her. What came next was something no child on earth should have been handed to carry. William and Harry were given no grief counseling after their mother died. 6 days after she was gone, both boys were placed in a funeral procession and made to walk behind her coffin through the streets of London, while the whole watching world held its breath. Growing up, the boys called Camilla Lady Macbeth, Cruella de Vil, the Wicked Witch of the West. People have always dismissed those names as the careless rage of two grieving boys. They were not careless, they were exact. Those are the names of women who smile while they cause damage. Women who reach into someone else's life and take what they want and feel absolutely nothing about the pain they leave behind. William carried all of this as he grew. And just as he had learned to function inside the weight of all of that history, one man walked back into the frame. The man who had been married to Camilla before Charles ever came along. The man who at 86 years old is still showing up at royal events and pulling every dark, buried detail of this story back into the light just by standing there and existing. The ex-husband who never left. By early 2026, William had already finished with Annabelle, quietly, without a single public word. Then Andrew Parker Bowles walked back into public view and blew the roof off everything. On February 2026 at a military memorial, photographs of Andrew standing alongside Camilla's children, Tom and Laura, surfaced online, and the whole buried story came crawling back into the light. Because Andrew Parker Bowles and Annabelle Elliot are two pieces of the same rotten thing. Annabelle opened her home so the affair could breathe. Andrew opened his marriage so Charles could walk in and take whatever he wanted. Both of them built the walls that kept Diana trapped and alone, and with nowhere to turn. William cutting Annabelle off was not a payroll decision. It was the first cut, and Andrew reappearing made every person watching understand exactly what was coming next. Andrew met Camilla in the late 1960s through his younger brother who worked for her father's wine business. They were on and off for years. During one of those off periods, Camilla met Charles. Andrew, meanwhile, had a brief involvement with Princess Anne, but that could never go anywhere because he was Catholic, and Anne, as a senior royal, was bound to the Church of England. By 1973, Andrew and Camilla were back together. Their engagement appeared in the Times without their knowledge, which effectively forced Andrew's hand. They married that same year, 800 guests. Princess Anne there, Princess Margaret there, the Queen Mother there. From the outside, it looked like the beginning of a golden life. It was already rotten underneath before the last guest went home. Within a few years, both of them had gone straight back to their old lives. Andrew moved through a string of affairs that turned the stomachs of everyone who witnessed it up close. And here is the part that makes your skin crawl. The women were not strangers he found somewhere else. They were Camilla's own friends, women who sat at her dinner table, women she trusted. Andrew was sleeping with them and barely bothering to lower his voice about it. One of those women eventually cornered him and looked him dead in the face and said, "I am really hurt, Andrew. I am the only one of Camilla's friends you have not made a pass at. What is wrong with me?" That was the marriage. That was what was living underneath the polished surface of it. While this marriage went on, Camilla went back to Charles. Charles had started writing to her within 6 months of her wedding and had gradually begun appearing at Camilla's marital home. Andrew Parker Bowles got used to walking into his own home and finding the Prince of Wales sitting in it. His friends watched it happen and felt physically sick on his behalf. They felt he was being humiliated in public and choosing to stand still for it and absorb it. But there was no real choice available. Charles was the future King of England, and something about that made him shut up. So Charles got comfortable. Then he got careless. Then he stopped caring what anyone around him saw or felt or thought. In 1980, he took Camilla as his official escort to Zimbabwe's independence celebrations, while Andrew remained in his orbit saying nothing and doing nothing. Then at a polo club ball in Cirencester, Charles did something that stopped an entire room breathing. In front of a crowd of guests in full open view, he reached his hand directly into the front of Camilla's dress. People froze where they stood. Eyes dropped to the floor. Andrew Parker Bowles was in that room that night, a man who had ridden in the Grand National, who had commanded cavalry squadrons. He stood in the middle of his own social world and watched the heir to the throne put his hand inside his wife's dress in front of witnesses, and he said nothing. After that night, one description attached itself to Andrew Parker Bowles and never let go. The man who laid down his wife for the prince. Think about what Andrew represented to every person watching. He was the wronged husband, the man who had been ground into the dirt in his own home by the future king. If any living person had the right to stand up and say what had been done to him and what it cost him, it was Andrew Parker Bowles. The public knew that. So every time he appeared in public, especially anywhere near Camilla, and smiled, it landed like a statement worth more than any press release Camilla could ever have paid for. He sat at Charles and Camilla's 2005 wedding without visible anger. He watched the 2023 coronation while the woman who gutted his marriage was crowned Queen of England, and he showed nothing. He was photographed warmly with Tom and Laura in January 2026, as if the entire history between all of them had simply dissolved. Every single appearance sent the same message. The man Camilla hurt the most has moved on. So should you. Andrew Parker Bowles became the most powerful weapon in Camilla's project, to make herself loved and forgiven by the public without ever saying a single public word about any of it. But Andrew reappearing is only reopening old wounds. What Camilla is doing inside the palace is tearing them wide open, because she has stopped being just a historical problem for William. She has picked a new target, and the target she chose is the one person William would burn everything down to protect. When it got personal, Camilla versus Kate. The people closest to William have said it for years. Kate is the one person in his world he will not allow anyone to touch. Every other wound William had learned to carry. Every other blow he had learned to absorb and file somewhere deep and keep walking. Kate is different. No one messes with her. Camilla knew this, and she dared William to do his worst. Camilla's team fed the story to the press that Meghan had made Kate cry during the wedding preparations. Harry and Meghan have both said it is completely false. That story tore through international headlines like fire and scorched Meghan's reputation in ways that years have not fully healed. When William found out, his face went tight and hard. He picked up the phone and called Charles directly. "How can you be letting a stranger do this to your sons?" That was the first thing he said, and Charles exploded. He shouted at his own son. He called him paranoid. He stepped in front of Camilla and defended her the way he had been defending her since William was a child. The same choice. Camilla first. Camilla always first. William said nothing, but he was already plotting everything he would to bring Camilla down, and firing her sister was only a small part of the ugly plan. By late 2025, what was happening between Camilla and Kate had become impossible to contain inside the palace walls. A source went directly to the press and said Camilla was naturally territorial and irritable, and that she was furious at the widespread belief that Kate could simply do as she pleased inside the institution. Behind closed doors, Camilla had been pushing hard for Charles to stay king for as long as his body would allow. The reason behind that push is this. The day William becomes king is the day Kate becomes queen, and the day Kate becomes queen is the day everything Camilla bled for and clawed her way toward across 30 years begins to disappear. The funding, the status, the access, the central position, all gone. And Camilla's strategy was to frustrate Catherine as much as possible before that day came. Then came September 2025, and the moment the whole world saw without understanding what they were really looking at. President Trump and Melania came to Windsor Castle for a state visit. The royal family was lined up and ready. William and Kate greeted the Trumps first, and Kate fell naturally into warm, easy conversation with Melania. Then Camilla arrived, and what happened next was caught on camera in front of millions of people who would watch the footage afterward and watch it again. Camilla swept her hand at Kate in a sharp, dismissive gesture. A wave, the kind you give to someone standing in the wrong spot. Kate stepped aside. The future Queen of England moved out of the way like someone who had been told to clear the path for someone more important. William watched it happen. He was standing right there, and he watched it happen, and something moved across his face that the people nearby felt before they could describe it. His expression did not break into visible anger. It went somewhere far colder than anger. His jaw set, hard. His eyes went flat and still. A source said afterward, "Her behavior in public, pushing Kate away and snapping, was out of line and upset William. Her disrespect for his wife is testing their bond again." At that same visit, William greeted Camilla with 2 brief kisses on the cheek and kept walking. To someone watching casually, that sounds like nothing. But in the world of the royal family, every greeting between senior members carries a weight. When Camilla is present, William would traditionally lower his head in a formal acknowledgement of her position as queen consort. He completely refused to do that. He gave her the kind of greeting you would give someone you barely recognized at a crowded party and move on without a pause. Camilla felt totally humiliated afterward. Royal expert Christopher Anderson confirmed what everyone around William already knew. William simply tolerates Camilla. That is the word he used. And Camilla, Anderson said, has always been a little afraid of William. She was afraid of him when he was a 15-year-old boy walking through London behind his mother's coffin with nothing but grief and no power anywhere in the world. Now he holds the keys to everything she depends on to survive inside that institution. He has already shown her and the entire palace exactly what he is prepared to do, and exactly how quietly and cleanly he is prepared to do it. Camilla has spent 30 years outmaneuvering people who underestimated her, but William had never underestimated her for a single day. He has been watching her since he was 11 years old, while his mother was still alive and still breaking apart. And now, with Kate shoved aside on camera in front of the entire watching world, he has seen more than enough. Camilla knows William is bringing trouble her way, and she is desperately looking for a way out. Here is what she did. Camilla's panic and William's reckoning. Late February 2026, a story broke that made people stop and read it twice. Queen Camilla had quietly signed papers transferring ownership of Ray Mill House, her private estate in Wiltshire, to her children Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes. Ray Mill House is not just a name on a property document. Camilla bought it in 1996 with the money from her divorce settlement from Andrew Parker Bowles, £850,000. She has called it her sanctuary. She has said that gardening there is the best therapy in the world. She retreats there when the weight of royal life presses down too hard to breathe under. She grows things there. It is the one place on this earth that has always been entirely and completely hers, and she just moved it out of her own name. So why did she do that? Camilla is not getting any younger. Charles is 77 and sick. Moving property to your children at that stage of life is something thousands of ordinary people do every year for entirely sensible reasons. Most people would read that explanation and accept it and keep moving, but most people had not been watching what William just did to Annabelle. When William removed Annabelle from the duchy payroll, he opened the annual report and placed one word next to her name, Neil. If William could end a 20-year arrangement that cleanly, with no warning and no explanation and no apology, Camilla understood with total clarity what he was capable of doing to her the moment the power shifted completely and permanently into his hands. Ray Mill House was her answer. She was taking the one thing that is fully and personally hers and moving it beyond his legal reach before he had the formal power to extend that reach toward it. Palace officials had already confirmed she would not receive Royal Lodge if Prince Andrew ever vacated it. Ray Mill House is the last piece of ground she could guarantee would still be hers if Charles died and William became king. By placing it in her children's names before that day, she was drawing a line around the last solid thing she had left and daring anyone to try to cross it. The financial reality sitting underneath all of this is stark. Camilla has no separate personal income from the state. Every pound she receives flows through the sovereign grant, the government payment made to the royal institution. That grant answers directly and completely to the monarch. When William is king, he controls every single penny of it. He has already spoken publicly about wanting a leaner monarchy, tighter rules around who benefits from royal proximity. Tom and Laura Parker Bowles have never worked for the royal family in any formal capacity, but their closeness to the crown has opened doors for them. Under the monarchy William is building, even those invisible advantages could be shut off without notice or explanation. Under that monarchy, Camilla will be absolutely powerless. And something happened in December 2025 that proved that even her children know this. That year, Camilla called Tom herself. She asked him to come to Sandringham for Christmas. She told him directly, "I'd love you to come. I haven't had Christmas with you for a long time." Tom's answer came out shortly after. "I'm not spending Christmas at Sandringham, nor is my sister. It will be every other year, 1 year on, 1 year off." He spent that Christmas on a sofa at his ex-wife's house. The Queen of England asked her son to come home for Christmas. He said no. Her children carry Andrew Parker Bowles' name. They grew up watching their mother fight for everything she has. They watched her bleed for 30 years to get where she is standing. And now, they are quietly stepping back, repositioning before what is coming arrives. Because they can feel it coming. They can feel that she is no longer winning, and they are moving out of the way before she falls. For a very long time, Camilla was the most patient and most dangerous player in this game, and she won it completely. She finally got the crown placed on her head in Westminster Abbey, and now the one person she has always been afraid of is about to become king. When William becomes king, Camilla's money answers to him. Her access answers to him. Her position inside that institution answers to him. And if he decides, He can make her feel like a visitor standing in the hallway of what used to be her own home. The boy who walked through the streets of London at 15 years old behind his mother's coffin is now the most powerful man in Britain. He is not grieving anymore. He is not reacting out of old pain. He is just getting started.